Hey everyone, we're back. We got a very special guest coming all the way from AVAX. We've got True Voodoo. And Voodoo, buddy, how you doing?
What's up, brother? I'm doing good, man. It's awesome to hop on and chat with you. I think we got connected, when Friend Tech started.
Yeah.
I think kind of when that was blowing up originally. I
Mhm.
know that's when we kind of met each other on Spaces and stuff, I believe then. And it's good to finally sit down and have a real conversation with you, man.
No, definitely. I love anything, of course, like AVAX too as well. Like I have Block Pay on here. Go Pool, of course, One Third Nerd and everything like that. I love the AVAX, ecosystem. Shout out to the AVAX, ambassador now too as well that I'm a part of though. But before we get into actually you guys, what you guys are doing and everything like that, I want to know a little bit more. Like, how'd you get all the way here to Web3?
Yeah, man. So I'm a financial advisor in real life, and as part of the TradFi system, I had been programmed to really shy away to tell people that crypto's a fad, it's a bubble. Anytime a client asked about Bitcoin, you just, basically say it's a bubble, and that was about it. And in 2020, that last bull run, I don't even know if it was the prices around Bitcoin or if it was, COVID and just sitting around the house or what it was. But something got me to download Coinbase, and I just started buying the cheapest coin because that's what you do. You don't know tokenomics. You're just like, hey,
Yeah.
this one's only 30 cents. Bitcoin's like 50,000. I'm going to buy the 30-cent one. And so that's what I started doing. And then as someone, I wouldn't say I'm like an intellectual, like I'm really smart, but I'm an intellectual in that I like to learn before I take action. And so I just started diving into books, diving into podcasts, diving into YouTube stuff. And on my bookshelf, I'm looking at across here, I've got a whole section. It's actually a section and a half of books on Bitcoin primarily. And it was the Bitcoin Standard that really changed my life. I went down that rabbit hole and I realized the history of money, what makes good money good, hard money hard, all that stuff. And so I got into crypto, and I was, stuck at home most of that year from COVID. And so I was just like day trading and learning that. And then I started learning DeFi. And that's where my life really started to change. I got in when there was like Solana summer originally.
Yeah.
And then those yields started drying up. And then I saw a tweet or maybe a YouTube video. I saw a tweet, and then it led me to a YouTube video on how to bridge funds to Phantom. And I'd never heard of Phantom, but, it was an L1 that had really good yield farming. And so I got in, and in 2021, Phantom was the number one performing L1. I mean, it went from fractions of a penny up to $3.50. And while I didn't get in at the very beginning, I was able to ride the wave a lot. And that's what led me into the NFT space. There was an incredible Discord-based NFT auction house that every Saturday and Sunday, they'd have 30 to 40 incredible one-of-one artists put their pieces up for auction. And people that were making a ton in DeFi profits, they never cashed that money out. So it was like play money for them. They were bidding crazy amounts of money, and they were buying pieces. And that's what I started doing. Now, as you see in my office, I can turn it around. I have pieces of art on the floor that have never been hung because every bit of the office wall space is taken. It's all physicals from NFTs I have primarily, except the Jordan and the Freddie Mercury. And so I just fell in love with collecting one-on-one art. But I'm an entrepreneur, I'm business minded, and I realized pretty quickly that there's all these artists out there, especially in the one-on-one space and on other chains, who are struggling to sell. But I knew if I help them get in this environment, in our little bubble here, where people are actually appreciating art, number one, they can make money on one-on-one art. But then two, we could help them make money with generatives. And so we basically started a brand called Potluck Labs, and we would essentially handle both like the technical side, which now is pretty much all automated in different websites you can do, but back then it wasn't. So we could help people generate, make their collections, but then we could add DeFi utility. And so we had utility tokens. We did a lot of things that either had definitely never been done on that chain or on the smaller L1s, and some stuff that I think I see happening 2 years later, on ETH. And so I think we were right place, right time for us to have some success. But the problem was we got into this right at the tail end of the last bull market. So we had about 6 months of a ton of fun, a ton of success. And then the bear market hit. And as we know, 99% of NFTs went pretty much to zero as far as volume goes. Even if the floor isn't zero, it's pretty much zero. And so we just had to kind of reinvent ourselves. And one of the brands that we had done, usually we just helped artists build their brands. But there was a brand that we had an artist, he's from Austin, named Sarge, or Chad's his real name. I can dox him because we're all docs on the team.
Yeah.
But we had done a lot of projects with him. He was a big OG artist and also supporter of artists on Phantom. And we made a funny pixel collection in over 2 years ago together, as it was called Swol Chads, and we did it on AVAX. It was a 100-piece collection. It didn't make us any money, but it sold out real quick, and the floor like 100x. Like, it went crazy. People loved it. Yeah, it was wild. And so we said, okay, this is cool. So what do we do? Let's put this money to use. And we back then was like the metaverse play was the big thing. So we got in touch with Sandbox, and we basically paid for and built out an incredible land on Sandbox. Dropped 15 grand, which was 100% of what we had made. And we said, let's do this. Well, they never went live for projects. So that was pretty much a waste. So then fast forward, once we kind of gave up hope, it was just on the wayside, like, just another dead project. And with this last year, about a year and a half ago, we started saying, okay, well, what's it going to look like for us this next run? Because we're not going anywhere. We're here. We're active every day. We know that I believe the old way of doing NFTs, people like, now it's just meme coins. People are like, forget the NFTs. Like, we'll just do the meme coins, because you're doing the same thing. You're just gambling. That number goes up quick. I can mint and sell a few hours later. And now people can just do that with meme coins. So why add the NFT? So we started thinking, how do we make this brand legit, if you will? Because one of the things we had done is we kind of expanded the brand, and we brought a casino aspect, which, we basically brought poker to AVAX, the first poker platform. And we were hoping that would take off and make a bunch of money that we could put back and reward holders, but it didn't. It's done okay, but it didn't become a big money maker. So then, still not wanting to give up. That's what the space is all about. Success in the space is you just keep freaking trying, Exactly. You got to just keep learning from people doing it right, and just keep being willing to pivot. And so we knew, like, our team had a lot of real business skills. Like, we have a guy who was a trader on Wall Street. Like, he was on Wall Street when 9/11 happened, like a real Wall Street trader in the early tech days. So he's got some really cool, unique business experience. Two of us are financial advisors. And so we have that in our background. And then we have other people that have built other businesses. And, the advantage that we had was we didn't need to make money on the NFT project. We'd like to make money, but we didn't have to. We could still just run our businesses and have fun with it. And that allowed us to stay alive while most projects died, while most founders and people just disappeared because the money was gone. And so we started looking at what real world products, like, could we bring to the table? And so we settled on basically becoming a lifestyle brand and really focusing on the supplement side. And that story is, crazy in itself. The 2-minute version, as a financial advisor, I have a client who's a professional bodybuilder. He's won over 25 world championship medals in different physique competitions. Like, he's a stud. He's got hundreds of thousands of followers on multiple platforms, and, he's sponsored by different brands. So I reached out to him thinking he would have no interest, but I was like, if we're going to do supplements, I need to talk to somebody who's in the industry, because it's all about who you know and who they can connect you to. And I believe it was a God thing, but, it's just the universe aligned for us. And he told me, hey, this last month is the first time in 9 years that I haven't had a supplement sponsor. And I'm not interested in getting a sponsor where I don't have some equity. He's like, I want to build a brand and, cash in big, essentially. And so I shared him with him our vision of what we wanted to do, and he loved the idea of being able to help formulate the products and really just have equity. And so we made him a minority partner, and we built out like custom pre-workout, fat burner, test booster, along with a few other products we're going to be launching. We've already paid fully for the production of our first round of a few thousand units of 5 different products. And we're targeting a July launch because right now production, the first time you get a product made in mass, takes 8 to 12 weeks to get that on the shelves. And so from now till then, it's just building, man. We've done a lot of stuff that I didn't include in the story. We were the first ever 721 collection to wrap and become a 404. That was really pivotal for us because it allowed us to basically become like a token in the fact that we have 100% liquidity for our holders. They can sell at any point, in a 404. They can either list on a marketplace or they can just sell on a DEX or buy on a DEX. We've done a lot of really cool things that, one pivotal thing I forgot to mention is we expanded our collection, and this was part of raising the funds to also build a business and have a treasury to support it. We knew our original 100-piece collection wasn't going to be enough to build a big brand. Like, we needed a big premier PFP-worthy collection. And so we did a 3,333-piece collection, launched it as a 721, raised a good amount of funds, and then put a lot of those funds back into creating and locking the initial LP for the 404. And then, so we're like on AVAX, we're the first non-meme 404 for sure. We're the first 404 that actually raised a treasury, because the way a 404 launch works, you don't really make much money on the launch. But when you did a 721, we were able to raise 6 figures, which not a crazy amount, but we were able to raise over 100,000. That now gave us a big DeFi treasury. And so we've got multiple DeFi plays, and then also allowed us to start production on a bunch of real world products. You mentioned products I didn't even talk about. We've got a hemp line, Delta 9 gummies, Delta 8 flour. We have some premium sunglasses that we're having made. We got boxer briefs, shorts, all types of stuff that goes with the Swol Beach brand. And so, it's really where we're at now is, man, we're a nobody in the NFT space as far as market cap or whatever. But I fully believe that in the next 12 to 24 months, we'll be doing, in the next 12 months, I believe we'll be doing $1 million a year in revenue, which will value us in our space, in the supplement space, as a $10 million plus brand. We do that, and the opportunities are kind of endless for what that means for our holders, for us. And so that's what we're laser focused on. And we know that, just like Pudgy Penguins, if we build a big name in the Web 2 space, it only means positive things for our Web 3 holders, So I know that's a lot, but it's a pretty complicated, long journey to get to where we are today.
No, crazy, and I definitely, like that too as well. And kind of people that are either going to either be watching this, right, or kind of like new to NFTs, and of course they're understanding NFTs, or people already in the NFT ecosystem and they don't really understand like what a 404. Can you actually break down what actually is actual 404? Like, maybe like in simple terms so people can understand.
Yeah, absolutely. So just think of it as if an NFT in layman terms is a digital collectible, if we want to make it in like Web 2 words that normal people understand, probably the best term for a 404 is a liquid collectible, or another way to say it will be a hybrid NFT. And the reason that I say for like Web 3 people, you've got fungible tokens, which every token is essentially the same. There's nothing different, between owning this AVAX or that AVAX. They're all AVAX. Doesn't matter. You can swap one for the other. There's no differences in its nature. And that's how tokens work. ERC20s, tokens, that's how they work. NFTs, every token is unique. They're non-fungible. There's something different, unique about each one. The 404 standard is something that's really interesting to read on, but basically some guys on Ethereum said, hey, why don't we combine these two? Because the biggest problem with NFTs is that people get left holding the bag, that there's no exit liquidity if interest moves on. And so they said, well, maybe we could give it those dynamics or those the attributes of a regular token while still being an NFT. And so 404 basically is a token standard, it's just the name of a token standard, just like ERC 721 is the NFT traditional standard, but there's multiple standards for NFTs. And a 404 is just a way to code where you take an NFT collection and it is not only listable and tradable on NFT marketplaces, just like a normal NFT. So if you've got rare traits or something, you might be able to sell it for a premium to somebody who wants those traits or desirable, aesthetics or whatever. But then also you can list and buy on a DEX, which is really cool. So I'll give you an example on AVAX. We're actually listed on 2 DEXs. And so, but let's just say Trader Joe's biggest DEX on AVAX. Someone could go on Trader Joe, go to the token swap AVAX for Swol token. When you buy Swol token, what's really cool about a 404 is it actually fractionalizes the ownership. So you can buy fractions of the NFT. So you can say, man, I don't have enough money to buy a full Swol, but I have 1 AVAX. That doesn't buy me a full one, but it buys me like 0.6 Swol. So you can buy that. Now in your wallet, you'll have the value, you'll have 0.6 Swol, you'll have the value, you could sell it back on the DEX anytime you want, but you won't have an NFT in your wallet because you don't own a full token. But the second you own a full token, like you have 0.6, now you go buy 0.4 more, now you have a whole token, now an NFT shows up in your wallet.
That's so cool.
So now, so you got the NFT here and you also have the token value. So now how do I cash out? Either way, you could say, hey, let me list this NFT above the token price. The token's trading at this price, so I'm going to list it up here. And maybe mine is desirable for whatever traits it has, and someone's willing to pay a premium for it. Okay, cool. That's the non-fungible aspect. The fungible aspect is, I just want to sell my Swol. I want to get out. I want to cash out for some AVAX, do something else. I don't have to wait around and hope someone buys mine. I don't have to lower the floor. I can just go on the DEX and swap Swol for AVAX and be out immediately. And so it just adds liquidity into the equation and fractionalized ownership. So let me give you Bored Apes to Gods, like all these big collections we think about, Pudgy Penguin. So let's say one of these collections, like one of these OG really expensive ones is $20,000, like 5 ETH or something, it's like 5-6 ETH floor. Well, there are so many people out there who would love to own or be a part of that community, but they can't get in with the full one. Just like with Bitcoin. How many people want to become a whole coiner one day? Yeah. I mean, everybody should. You should all want to own a whole Bitcoin. That's awesome. But I can't, but I can buy fractions. I can dollar cost average in. I can be a Bitcoin holder without owning a whole Bitcoin. Well, you can't do that in NFT communities. Well, now with the 404, you can. You can buy fractions, and now you don't have the image yet. So you're motivated to keep stacking until that one day where you own a whole coin. So now you got the image. Now you can rock the PFP. But in the meantime, if it's, hey, we're going to have a live event in Austin, Texas, and you got to be a holder to attend, well, you don't have to hold. Your event goes from being a couple hundred people possible in the world to being infinite people, because fractional ownership allows people in. And so for us, growing a big Web 2 brand that we hope to have thousands of customers, well, we wanted to have an avenue where they could come into the Web 3 space and with even a few dollars become a holder, and so I think it just takes the pool of people and it limits it from whatever your NFT collection supply was to infinite. And I think that that's a huge thing. And so, so we were the first to wrap a collection, meaning take an existing 721 and then transform it into a 404. It's not like it's some novel, crazy work. It was basically just creating a wrapper to do it. But we did have to supply the LP at the beginning. So we used about 25% of our mint funds to provide the AVAX to pair with our images to put in the LP pool. And so that was a big sacrifice from the team, as far as we could have been using that money elsewhere, but it's proven to be really awesome because you never hear a complaint again about the floor price or what's happening, because people have liquidity. So if you don't like it, just get out. You don't have to wait or beg someone to buy your stuff. Luckily, like even on the NFT side, we have less than 0.2% of our NFTs listed. Like People sell, people buy, but ultimately people collect because they love it and they believe in the vision and the brand.
No, that's definitely cool as well. And Frank, D God's founder, had even said that you know hybrid NFTs or 404 are going to be kind of like the future. And it's just crazy that you now that's kind of like I understood it, but the way you broke it down, I understand it even more now. I mean, I could see there's so many perks to that. And as far as actually like holding like either a fraction or holding a whole NFT in your collection, like what are some of the perks that get unlocked with having any of those assets?
Yeah. So for us,
Mhm.
we've got, have you ever heard of drip.re, R-E?
No, I have
It's a
not.
web. Okay, so it's a website. I'll link you to it after.
Mhm,
Anybody who's listening to this and runs a Discord community, especially a
mhm,
project, whether that has any token at all,
mhm,
it is the best Discord platform. But basically, it's a very simple rewards-based platform where you can reward people with a Discord ecosystem token. And so we reward people with getting that token, basically a utility token. So even though Swol is its own token,
mhm,
we want people to interact with tweets. We want people to do lots of things, and we want to reward our holders. So because we have physical products, one of the things is you just go as a holder, you go in our Discord, you verify your wallet, and now you're going to passively earn not the Swol, the real token. You already hold that. You're going to be passively earning our Chad coin, which is like our Discord utility token. Well, then constantly, like there's never been a time we haven't had raffles going or store prizes you could buy with your coin. So 24/7, 365, we are committed to always having things that you can use your coins to get. So in addition to holding the real token in your wallet, you get to earn and then use that for prizes, kind of like a loyalty program. But then in addition to just passively earning, we always have quests where you can go actively earn. So, hey, you want to make a detailed thread or post a video about Swol, then you're going to get this many points. You want to just go interact with this tweet, this many points. You put Swol Beach in your bio on Twitter, you're passively every day, you can go claim points as long as you have that. So we created this whole Discord ecosystem around supporting and bringing attention to Swol. But then, and this is really complex stuff because we're getting into like V3 dexes and how they
yeah,
work. But so I don't want to get into the weeds
mhm,
because it's its own crazy thing. But we said the problem with 404s, you'll find this everywhere, is there's no way to incentivize liquidity on a traditional DEX. So that means the project itself puts LP there, but then nobody else is motivated to add to it because there's not really any rewards. Unless trading volume is crazy, that's the
mhm,
only way there's rewards. But V3 dexes like Equalizer, Arrow, there's a bunch of dexes on every chain that are this new model of dexes with how they do their emissions. They basically allow us they have voters who hold their lock token. The voters get to vote on which LP pools get emissions. And then, so the more votes your pool gets, the higher your APR is for that week. So essentially, you want high APR. If a pool is paying 100% and now our holders are like, well, I'm holding for long term. Why don't I
yeah,
throw some LP in there, earn 100% passively? And the beauty is they're not earning 100% on more of our token. They're earning that DEX's token. So just by holding ours, they're earning another asset, which also has the ability to 5, 10, 20x in this bull run. So we became the first 404 on any chain ever to utilize a V3 DEX, where we created a liquidity pool, heavily incentivized it for our holders. We get a bunch of votes because the way the system works is we basically pay for the votes. We pay voters to vote for us, and if they like our bribe, they're called bribes.
mhm,
It's basically a way to reward the voters for their voting power. And so by doing that, our goal, and we haven't hit it every week, but the goal is always, can we target 100% APR for our holders? Because I believe if you're looking at our brand saying, man, in a year from now, they could be a $10 million plus supplement brand, like all these eyes could be on the project. I'm holding this long term. Well, I don't want you to hold long term and then not make any money in the meantime. So if you're willing to put some in LP, you can benefit greatly. And by doing that, we over like the LP we put in, we've had over double that put in by our community, which stabilizes the price action and just makes the coin a lot healthier.
Yeah, no, that definitely. Like, man, that's a very well thought out kind of ecosystem as you have there, and kind of the thing I want to ask you too as well, as far as like the supplements go and everything. What are some of the supplements that you have like right now that are going to be kind of like ready to go, or the ones you're going to roll out?
Yeah, so people can actually go right now if you're in the U.S. and I think there's 5 states where it's illegal, so we can't send it. But for most everybody in the U.S., you can go to swolhemp.com, Swol Hemp. And we've got Delta 9 gummies on there, and then also like a Delta 8 THC flower, where if you actually want to like smoke the flower, you can do that. It's a limited supply. I expect to sell out pretty soon. I don't know that we'll continue buying those. I think in the beginning, we were taking kind of a shotgun approach of this lifestyle brand. And then I think with the way the pieces came together, also realizing regulations and things, it was going to be much smarter for us to invest our capital in the supplement line and the sports nutrition. But we do have that live right now, and until that product sells out, we'll have that. And the gummies are incredible. They're all produced in America. You can look at the certificates of authentication on there, or authenticity. They are produced in Florida. It's awesome. So you can go on there. It's pretty cheap too. Also, if you're listening to this before you go buy, hey, hit me up on Twitter or on Discord. Let me know where you saw me on this show right here, and I'll send you a 20% off coupon. That way you can do that.
Sweet.
But then our next product, so we have these done, production's done, literally labels are getting put on them today. And that is an energy powder and then a hydration powder. So much cleaner than like an energy drink you buy at the store. I mean, the energy powder is just an energy drink, mix it with water, mix it in a shaker or with a spoon. It's like 180 milligrams of caffeine from green tea, B vitamins, magnesium, that type of stuff. And the hydration is basically all the good vitamins and sodium and magnesium and all that without the caffeine. And so I drink those all the time. Flavors are incredible. We're gonna have 4 flavors. Like one's like rocket pop, like a rocket pop energy, that flavor. Another is like a Skittles, but I think we call it like rainbow candy, but it tastes like a mouthful of Skittles. Another is lychee, which is like a big Asian flavor that is actually my favorite. It's delicious. And then blanking on what the 4th one is, of course. But those those are getting shipped to us from a manufacturer in Colorado. So hopefully next week,
sweet,
it's live. That would be big, but that's kind of going to be like our soft launch because we're still working on, building up to a big July launch with all the products where it's really heavily focused on influencer affiliate marketing. And so we've got a couple months to really build up to that while we still have some good products. We've got some sweet designer sunglasses that are pretty awesome. I've shared those on socials a lot. That's
sweet.
Yeah, here they are. They're pretty.
When are those are going to roll out?
So we the initial supply, because they come in a really nice container. I mean, it's all really premium, really nice case and pouch and everything. We ordered 300 of those. So our first 300 orders over, I think we're doing like $75, over $75 on our site. Once we have all the supplements, we'll get those. So it'll be a pretty cool like value add. And then we're also designing a couple other models right now. And it's fun for me because, I don't think of myself as a creative, but, I've worked a lot with designers, with people in the NFT space. And so I think the creativity is starting to run off on me a little bit. So it's fun. It's fun to me. But yeah, we've got like the physical clothes, the shorts, those things. They will be for sale on the site and like the clothing section. But our goal is to have them as value added products that we throw in when you hit certain thresholds of dollar value. That way people are motivated to spend more, essentially, get the good stuff.
Yeah, no, totally, man. All the stuff, everything that you guys have like rolled out, like as a kind of like the sneak peek, man, has been great. Especially the glasses. I definitely got to get my hands on those. I am actually, as soon as you as soon as the you guys put that out, though. But I do want to ask you this, though. Do you think that, you know, were you a little bit worried about like coming in, as a kind of like a fitness product, though? Because as you can see in this Web3 space, we do have a lot of nerds and virgins in here that kind of
Yeah.
just kind of don't lift and
So,
whatnot. How do you think you're going to capture them?
so here's the thing, and I tell this to everyone in Web3 with love because
Yeah,
I live and breathe this space. We're not marketing any of those products to you.
yeah,
We hope you use them. We hope, but like realistically, our Web3 community is all over the world. I
yeah.
would say over 50% not in America. Well, our products, like you could, a lot of countries, it's legal to buy certain supplements. Like you could buy it, but why would you? The customs costs, the import taxes. I mean,
Oh
like,
yeah,
so supplements are pretty, we'll undoubtedly have some supporters who buy it just because they want it as a souvenir, of supporting their favorite project or whatever. But we, our NFTs, those were marketed to Web3. We already got Web3. All right. Now we got to say, how do we get outside the box and get bigger? All right. It's just like when the plushy penguins, the
yeah.
penguins came out, pudgy penguins came out with plushies. They didn't say, what type of plushie could I design that a bunch of Web3 nerds would buy? They said, what could we put in Walmart that little kids are going to be asking their parents for? All right. So it's a whole
Exactly.
different thing. So my mindset is we've got this model or this avatar in our head of who is the person that would buy our stuff, who is the person who would want our products, and Web3 has nothing to do with that. It's just
Sure.
the Web2 concept of the exact person that we want to market to, and we've got a plan to do that. But then we're not saying, hey, screw our Web3 side. We're saying, hey, this is all going to be big and going to be good for you all. So one thing we're doing is we're going to have a little postcard, like you get a little like this size postcard in with an order. And those typically say, hey, thanks for buying. Thanks for your order. Here's 15% off your next order. It's going to have that typical stuff, but it's also going to have a QR code that links you to a gasless free mint. And this is one of the coolest concepts I think we've developed in this closing this Web2 to Web3 loop. So basically you'd scan it. It would take you to a minting page. That minting page, all you do is put in your email address, which you're happy to give because you already gave it to us when you ordered your supplements. It's not
Yeah,
like Web3 where they're like, don't dox me. They already
yeah.
bought and gave this to you. They go in, they put their email address in. Now, on the back end, our partners who built this out for us, on the back end, they create the Web3 wallet. We have seeded the contract with all the gas funds. So all they do is put their email in, click mint, boom, it gives them a digital collectible. It's not going to have any inherent value besides what we give it. But what it's going to do is it's going to be like a Swol Lyfe, Swol Beach themed NFT. We'll be able to change those out whenever we want. So it's like, oh, it's Christmas season. Let's make a Santa looking one, or let's do whatever. And so we can motivate people to buy more at different seasons. But essentially, it's just a way to really measure a measurable way to say, hey, how many people are we bringing in to Web3 from this Web2 space? And so really excited about that. I also just had a call earlier today with a group called Chasm. Really incredible tool they have that a lot of big Web3 and Web2 communities use. But it's kind of a reward system that you can use, but it also does a lot of really cool ways to onboard people from Web2 to Web3, and we're going to be implementing that in our website. And so we're not just going to hope that Web2 success leads to Web3 attention on our project. We're going to strategically design it to be that way.
But you could mend the two, though. And I think that's genius. That projects that, my opinion, the projects that kind of like have that both, right, that Web2 and Web3, and kind of just try to be kind of in both, right. I think those are the ones that are going to kind of make it. I like the fact you guys are like, hey, you don't have to be in Web3 or the Web3. You don't have to be kind of over here like doing this stuff, right? But if you want to, here's a way you can kind of like do it and kind of check it out. And do you kind of see like more fitness brands? Do you feel like in this next kind of run, as we get more attention, they're going to start kind of branching into Web3 too as well?
I think a lot of brands will start branching in, whether they realize it or not, with reward systems, loyalty systems, and engagement systems.
Mhm.
I think a lot of the best engagement systems, meaning like the old way of rewards for products was just, hey, every time you buy one, here's a code. That code's going to give you X amount of points. Once you reach points totals, now you have free merch. The new way is what I see Web3 doing better, or at least as good as Web 2, but I think Web 3 adds more dimensions on what can be done, is where you not only incentivize purchases, but you incentivize interaction. And so, like, if using Chasm, that Web3 brand, but there's Web2 companies who use it with no Web3 attachment to it. They're unknowingly using a Web3 protocol. I mean, maybe they know it now, but
Yeah.
they are using one. And then if they decide to do anything in the Web3 space, now the integration is kind of seamless. But there's some things I'm like, besides that, like what is the point? Maybe to have a collection to make some more money, or to do some digital collectibles. I think digital collectibles is always going to be something that brands can do. But like in a fitness brand, it's not like we need something tying my pre-workout shake to the blockchain versus if I had a high-end handbag, maybe having an NFC chip or something in it that verified its authenticity on the blockchain would be highly valuable. So I definitely see brands doing it. I don't know about fitness brands besides that. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense there.
Yeah, no, totally. And I kind of want to like go back to what you kind of said. You said you're a financial advisor, right? You had kind of like this, not so much you kind of had this prejudice against kind of like crypto and everything like that, right? Now, of course, you're kind of more open to it and everything. But as we start this cycle, right, and it seems like and I like talking about this to everybody that comes on that has like a financial background and crypto history, is that we're seeing like these meme coins just kind of like just run, right, and it continuously run, right. I honestly thought that actually that wouldn't be the case, like this kind of run. I thought they would come more towards the end, right, kind of more towards like the election and things like that. But now, dude, it seems like they're just not going to stop. It seems like they're actually going to lead the cycle, whereas you see like RWAs and other things being kind of pushed to the side. Like, no, we don't care about any of that. We want meme coins, right? Do you foresee like a reset coming, or do you feel like it's just going to keep this meme coin train's going to keep running as well?
Yeah, so that's such a layered question, and I don't know that I don't know that I know I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell you how long it's going to go, but I can tell you the principles that are there that speak to why meme coins run and why they're running now. And one of the biggest things is just understanding that, if you confuse, you lose. And DeFi protocols confuse people. They confuse everybody. The reality is DeFi 1.0, 2.0, the old models of doing it where you could stake LP or single-sided stake a token and get emissions in that token of 100, 200% that motivated people to get into DeFi. Those all proved to fail. Every model failed. All the tokens, because it's just like the US dollar. You keep printing money, the value of every dollar out there goes down. So these emissions, they didn't make it through the bear market. Those tokens that were just, so that's where these new V3 dexes and there's other ways of incentivizing. The problem is they're so complicated. That's why I was like, I barely touched on it, and probably touched on it enough just to confuse people even more. And that is the problem. I cannot tell somebody in 5 minutes and have them understand a V3 DEX with staking, but they could understand, hey, this is a funny token that is making fun of Joe Biden or Trump. Okay. So pick your political side and let's make fun of it. And you know what? Actually, even if you're a Republican, buy the Democrat, the one that makes fun of Joe Biden. And if you're a Republican, buy the one that makes fun of Trump, because either way, you're winning. If your side's winning, great. If the other political side makes you a bunch of money, you can be happy too. So it's so dumb, but it just makes sense to people. And that's really, when it comes to crypto, most people think they're gambling anyways. If you have a conversation with any normie person, they think it's all gambling. So it doesn't matter whether it's a meme coin or it's the most sophisticated DeFi protocol out there, which one's going to make sense to them more quickly as a gamble. The ones that have a cute animal or a funny attachment to it. So that's why I think inherently memes are winning. Now, ultimately, when the bear market comes, it comes for us all. And
Yeah.
I do believe that, like, I don't expect Swol, like our brand, I don't think we're going to have any crazy pump, because we're not looking at there's no benefit to us to have some like influencers come in and pump our token up a bunch and like artificially inflate it with hype. I expect us to, like a business, make money, and then that money equates to value for the token holders and the attention. And that's really how the DeFi protocols that are going to make it, that's how they make it, is they're very profitable, and then they turn those profits over to the holders. And that's also another problem, is the ambiguity, the gray area of legislation. Like, is it okay? As an American, it is dangerous at this point to start a DeFi protocol or to launch a token. It's dangerous because there is no legislative clarity. When that comes, I think that's when you see, like, if we see supportive around and very easy for people to say, hey, look, we meet the tests, we're not going to get sued by the SEC, we can actually have a DeFi protocol that works, then at least here in America, then I think now you see massive money coming in. Because if big money can go into DeFi protocols and they actually understand it, like institutional money, they're going to do it once legislative clarity is there. Right now, anyone who thinks they're going to do anything and down the road below Bitcoin and Ethereum with big money, they can't do it. It's way too much lack of clarity. So yeah, man, you just kind of enjoy the ride. And I know it pisses people off. I talk to real builders every day who are it's an attention economy, and there's no attention on the real builders at this point. But you know what? Build in the shadows, and at some point the sun will shine. If you've been doing it right. So
no, but you said something that was crazy though. Like, you confuse, you lose, and I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, dude, that's I think I even had a better way of saying it, but that's probably the simplest, clearest way. Just in sales and marketing, if you confuse, you lose. Working with clients, like as a financial advisor, I'm not a salesperson. I'm here to advise them. I'm a fiduciary. I have to, help them hit their goals. But 90% of investing success is helping them modify their behavior. Means they got to think different and act different versus just picking investments to be in. And that's the same thing in crypto. It's you want to modify people's behavior. You want to get them to do something different, to invest in your protocol, to realize what you have. But it's so damn confusing for most people. They're just never going to get it. And I've been in this space. Like, we were going to help launch a project. We're still looking at it, but we realized, man, this needs to be a way dumbed down version, because if DeFi 3.0 is the current meta, I don't know what people say we're on. This is like DeFi 5.0. I mean, it is like so awesome if it works, but it's the gap in understanding is so huge to get there that I'm like, there's no way it's going to work now. Because I've been in this space for years, and I'm like 24/7 listening and talking to people in this space, and I can't even understand it after like 10 times talking about it. So, but that's what I see. The best builders are just building really complicated crap that ultimately the attention economy is not going to pay attention to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I try to learn some of it, and kind of like my meathead brain was like, no. I'm kind of out on some of this stuff too as well. And I do want to talk about like your time on AVAX, right? And how has that kind of been like building on AVAX? And have you felt a lot of support from actual like the foundation, the community, and you can kind of go a little bit more into that?
Yeah, so we got in that we were the second project ever, not Swol Beach, but with Potluck Labs. We worked with an incredible artist named Teens on Acid, and we helped him release his first generative, and we wanted it to be on 3 chains. So we followed the footsteps of another project that started on Phantom, but they basically it was one contract, NFT collection on 4 chains, bridgeable between all 4. Now, because of layer 0 and different protocols, like lots of people have that. Back in 2021, nobody else had that. And so we followed, and we were looking at what communities are like ours. And so back then it was like, okay, Phantom was an up and coming layer one, very small niche, NFT community, but very passionate, very passionate about art. And that's what we were looking for. And we found that AVAX was the most close to that. It was a little bigger than us as far as market cap and stuff. NFT collections, there was a little more money in it. But ultimately, the vibe on Twitter, the type of interactions you had with people, it seemed to be the most close that we could find. And so we just started building relationships. And the rest is history. It was, that was in 2020 that we started on there, and then it was February 2021 that we launched the first project, and we've been helping build projects and just been involved since then. I've never really received any support, like no funds, nothing really to help us in our building. And there's been times where you can get bitter on that as a builder, but it's stupid. It's just like, it's a cliche, but get bitter or get better.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they have their, like Ava Labs, they have their vision of what success looks like and what they're trying to accomplish. And just because I have a good project, or we have, we're builders, we're working hard, doesn't mean that we deserve their money to help build it. And so that was just something I had to accept. And once you accept that, it doesn't really matter what they do. All that matters is you're here for your community. So I've never been like a chain person. I'm 100% my community. And my job has always been to put my community in the best position for them to have success. And if that means being on AVAX, cool. If it means being on a different chain, that's fine with me. It's all about what's going to bring the most attention, users, money into our community, because that's what's good for the community. And I know, like Frank with the gods and stuff, had to deal with the repercussions of making choices with that may or may not have been, worked out well. And I know that's, been a big thing there, but we've been through the same type of stuff, just on a smaller scale with not as big of a microscope on us.
Yeah, definitely. Frank does love his bridges, though. So I will say, there's not a bridge he hasn't met that he hasn't liked, though. But no, definitely. And I also too, like, want to get like real quick, and I want to be honored with your time, like, the PFP collection itself, and we haven't even really talked about that. We've just been talking about the perks and everything like that, but kind of like, these nice, like, swole kind of like looking like, I guess you could say, like, different, characters and whatnot. Where did all that kind of come from, like the traits? And
so originally, Swol Chads was the original thing. So Trader Joe or Joe Pegs had just come out, and it was, all right, now, this is looking back. Bottom line is they came out with this collection called Small Joes, and it was like their insider collection. And I don't even know what it minted for, but nobody really in the public got to mint. It was like just some insider people. And then they made the floor go to like 400 AVAX. So it was the most valuable collection. And then they were wash trading it for attention. All right, these are allegedly, but the blockchain doesn't lie. That's what was happening. So we said, hey, let's make a joke of this. So in like one weekend, we came up with the Swol Chads. And so they were just these, pixel buff, Johnny Bravo-ish with just hilarious traits. Like, just think of the ultimate meathead douchebag at the beach wearing his fanny pack, drinking a six-pack.
I love that character, man. Dude, that's such a cool character.
I know, man. It's awesome. Yeah. It's so fun. And so we just thought of all these extremes of macho-ness, and made a collection, mullets and pit vipers and just all the fun stuff. And that's when the collection did really well. So then we came out with Swol Pepes, and that was another small collection. And it was just taking the Pepe character, reimagining him like a Swol Chad. And so we did those same artists. They were pixel. And then that's when we said, hey, let's do this big collection. So with the big one, it's actually two characters in the same collection. And what's incredible is that both the Pepe and the Chad, that the assets work with both, which was really hard to get the base character where that would happen. And then they have the different skins, colors, and different skins that from those original collections, and they have a lot of the original traits. But Really the traits was just me coming up with, like, I would just Google douchebag things, just like your funny, most stereotypical
That's
stuff.
probably most of the stuff I wear. So I mean, I
Oh,
can't be mad at that.
absolutely, man. Yeah, it's all of us. Like, it's hilarious stuff. It's
Oh
so
yeah,
funny.
hell yeah.
And so the collection it's beautiful. It's amazing. Markus Manson is our artist. He's a very established artist. Like, he does art for bands like AC/DC and Guns N' Roses, like
Mhm.
from back in the day. Like, he's awesome both in Web 2 and Web 3. And so one thing we did, nobody had done this before, because who knows if it's a good idea or bad idea, but I said, let's do it. There's a really cool protocol that just came out on AVAX called Spotlight 404. And it's just a Discord bot and a website where you can go in on the website, look at any of the 404 collections, and it will show you all the next ones to be minted if you were to go buy the token. So rather than it being a surprise, you buy the token on Dex, you get a random one, you don't know what it is, you could go on there, and so now you can snipe them. You can easily say, what am I going to get? So with a 404, it's just like a regular token. The more buys, the higher the price goes. The more sells, the lower the price goes, But how do we incentivize people? Because people tend to buy and snipe the ones they like, and then they'll sell the ones they don't like. So
Yeah.
the LP pool gets made up of all the images that people sell. They leave their wallet, go to the LP pool. And so then it becomes like an amalgamation of all the lesser aesthetically pleasing
Yeah.
images. Occasionally someone just sells off some good ones and then people snipe those. But I realize with 404s, that's what, with your loyal people, like, if you want them to collect more, you better give them a reason to collect more. So we introduced the concept of expansion packs. So rather than inflating the supply or changing the metadata like the gods have done, is changing, like, hey, season 1, season whatever it is.
Yeah.
We said, let's change the metadata by introducing expansion packs of new traits that are around a theme. But let's only change the data for ones that are in the LP pool. So the only way to get those is to go buy more. So to buy more, now you got it. So it created a lot of fun. So our first expansion pack is it's all from the Ken character in Barbie, Ryan Gosling in the Barbie movie. So we've got, we introduced 19 new traits. And then we just ran the generator, and then we went in by hand, and we're just going through one by one, changing the metadata, taking out, like, at the LP, which ones suck. All right, let's get rid of that one, put a new one in with some of the new traits. And so by doing that, it made it way more fun to collect. So we introduced the first 11 traits the other day, or first not, I don't know, 10, 11, whatever it is. We introduced some of them. And then it was awesome. We had a lot of buying pressure. We shot up like 27% that day. And I was like, okay, it's validated. Nobody was upset. Everybody was excited. This is great. But then I started looking at still images from the movie, because I'm like, there's got to be more kin traits. There's got to be more.
Yeah.
So I found a bunch more, and we just got those done. And we just generated a whole new batch of images. And now when we hop off this call, we're going to go in, we're going to swap that metadata, and we're going to do expansion pack 1.5, the Kinspansion. And then our next one, we'll probably do it like once a month or so. Whenever there's like cool things, like I'm trying to think of what's the next theme. Do we want to do like a Star Wars theme, or a NASCAR fan theme, or a WWE wrestlers? There's just so many things. It's got to fit the brand, like superheroes, just like cool guy stuff. But what do we want to do? And so that's just going to be a fun way to keep things juicy without ever having to dilute the supply or release a new collection. And luckily, because we have a treasury to support things, we never have to worry about, well, how do we make another collection to raise more funds? Like, that's not an issue. So it's just, how do we make this one collection we have better and better? And I know that the ultimate way of bringing it value is our Web2 brand that we're building and the sales that come from that. But in the meantime, let's make this the most fun project that we possibly can. And man, we're not perfect, but we're trying every day, man.
No, and I like the fact that you guys are not relying on like minting another project for funds. You actually have a treasury going. You actually have a plan and everything like that. So that's something that everybody out here that needs to pay attention to. Of course, we've seen a lot of projects go out there. They'll just mint a whole bunch. They'll mint, and kind kind of run out of one rate because you can't only commit so many projects. And no, I just like the fact that you guys have very much a business model to this. But Voodoo, like, I do appreciate you coming on though. But I do want to ask you kind of one thing. In a perfect world, right? Everything goes, like pretty great. We don't have any crazy natural disasters. Where would you like to see Swol Beach a year from now?
So a year from now, we'll be about 10 months into our first 12 months with our products live. And honestly, man, I want us to be a 10-figure brand at that point. And that doesn't mean that our ticker Swol price is worth, $10 million. It might be. But if we have a brand, if we're doing a run rate of $1 million a year in revenue, we're doing $83,000 a month in sales, where we're putting 100% of the profit back into the business. We're committed to that because we're trying to scale. And when you scale, you have to compound the results to, you can't be taking it out. So we're not using that to feed us. We're saying, let's feed the brand. And if we feed the brand, we'll all get fed, so that's kind of the mindset. I believe that we've got 12 to 18 months ahead of us, just like has happened in every single cycle, where the next 12 to 18 months, you'll have big pullbacks, but ultimately you've got a nice bull run following the halving. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that means on prices. Every single cycle, the returns are less good than the previous cycle. That's just a product of the market cap as a whole. But that doesn't mean that your project's returns have to be less good. Right now we're only a 200,000 market cap project. So, we're doing $1 million a year in sales revenue with, let's say, 700, 800,000 a year in profit. We're not going to be a $200,000 NFT project. Like, that's silly. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I know bigger. I know numbers on the sales side, but as far as the community, I think bigger and better, man. I'm not concerned with trying to compete and take down different projects. I think we're doing something no one's ever done before in our space. And I'm happy to be on the front lines, just experimenting and trying to build an incredible brand with this amazing core community that we built over the last 2 years. And really that's our superpower. We got great people in place, but we've got a community that's stuck with us through the bear market. That's just absolutely incredible and gives us a lot of strength and encouragement that most founders don't have. Most founders don't have 100, 200 people in your Discord that you can talk to every single day for encouragement if you needed it, or just to validate what you're doing. In the real world, most founders are out there on their own, just battling their own demons until they get success or they fail. And so the Web3 community, is a superpower behind it all, for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would have, like I said, I couldn't be a founder because I would have probably probably sent a whole bunch of hate mail to most of these nerds in the space too as well. Though, so hats off to you guys on that though. But Voodoo, I do appreciate you coming on though. But before you go, is there anything else you want to say, or any community members or anybody on the team you want to shout out?
I mean, we can shout out the team. My buddy Dave, his plot twist in the Web3 world, but we run our financial firm together. We've been doing the Web3 stuff together since day one with Potluck, and the same with Dracula Presley. He's the head of DeFi for us and everything. Just been an incredible friend in the space. And then Sarge, aka Chad, that I mentioned earlier, so kind of our OG artist in the space. And we also have a guy from the AVAX community who stepped up as a core member of the team. Actually, two of them. One's name's Boisterous and one's named Sir Reinhard. And there's just endless other people, man. I can't name them all, but ultimately, I get, for better or worse, some days it's worse, some days it's better. Being the key figure face of the project, you get a lot of the accolades or the attention that the other guys don't get. But you also have the pressure and the downside that comes with that. Nobody's calling out those guys if the project's not delivering. So, but we couldn't do any of it without them and without our core community. That's for sure.
No, man, that is great. And guys, this is going to wrap our show. If you like content like this, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Of course, follow me on X Follow True Voodoo on X and Swol Beach as well, because they're going to have some great products coming out. And I'll see you around on the next one. Take care.